Over the years, technology has been a crucial factor in the history of economy to this day. An example of this would be the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution changed the relationship between people and their jobs, but it also increased the wealth gap between the bourgeoisie and the working class. More than a century later, it is still playing a huge role in the form of technological advances and placing emphasis on capital accumulation. Yet, it is still unknown whether this would lead to further widening of the wealth gap. This inspired significant amount of economists such as Fourier, Engels, and Marx. Machines from the day they were invented have always played a huge role in shaping our economy. But what exactly are the machines being invented today? And how are they going to affect our economy in the near future? Today, we are in the hands of new inventions, such as self-driving cars, online shopping, self-automated machines, and robots. The technologies behind these that specifically change the game in different ways is AI, or artificial intelligence, and machine learning. The danger or the benefit behind these technologies is how they can do what we can do as well. Meaning, are they going to be able to someday replace us? And if so, is this going to benefit the economy or destroy it completely? In this video, we're going to look at specifically two different economic perspectives, a Marxist perspective and a capitalist one, in hopes of coming to an answer to these questions. Firstly, let's start with the capitalists. For capitalists, robots are not all that bad. After all, they are the ones who invented them. They believe that they could give way to easier means of production, which means more profit for the capitalists. And if you think about it, robots are basically a capitalist dream. They do not require wages, there's no need for employment benefits like holidays, bonuses, or health insurance, and they're cheaper to make. Overall, the creators of these machines and the ones buying them are the winners. The father of capitalism himself, Adam Smith, makes a crucial point in his most famous work, The Wealth of Nations, where he discusses the benefits of innovation. He says that inventions are the result of a boy who wanted to save his own labor. Well, isn't this what robots are? Machines saving our labor? Yet what are some downsides to these robots? Well, costs. Robots need to be made. So there'll be money spent on developing these technologies, maintaining them, and the liabilities that follows. Also, the robot-making industry will become the strongest one, as the demand for their products are likely to rise up, which will in turn make the business owners dependent on the industry. So not only is the investment costly, but it also creates what capitalism thrives on, competition. Yet, the Marxists would argue that this is in fact the reason why capitalists will eventually fail. So now let's talk about the Marxist perspective. How would they view the robot takeover? Well, firstly, there'll be more leisure time and less alienation from the self as the workers will be replaced. In Marx's Estranged Labor, he entails three main points. That 1, the worker feels alienated from the product. 2, he's alienated from nature and himself. 3, alienation from other human beings. So replacing human beings with these new technologies might potentially destroy the concept of alienation of labor, as it no longer would exist. The laborer would be replaced by the robot, so the worker doesn't have to suffer. The worker is no longer the slave to the object, as he is no longer a worker. The worker has more time for himself, his own nature of being, and for other human beings. They can do other jobs in other fields, such as the creative one. This will in turn construct a post-work luxury communist society where machines do the heavy lifting, not for profit, but for the people. In this society, if the workers were the ones controlling the companies and the government, they will free themselves from their own chains and have robots make the profit for them. However, this may not be the case. With the history of communist governments, we see that people weren't really the focus. Who's to say such a perfect government could exist that would spend its profits on the people? So now let's look at the disadvantages. One could easily see that the main one is unemployment. There will be fewer jobs, more competition amongst people because their jobs are replaced by robots and softwares, classism. Therefore, benefits in the gap between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie may still exist and even get stronger as the robots will only be afforded by bigger and more expansive companies that usually have many jobs for lower class citizens. This would then have them unemployed and suffering as their life becomes worthless. Instead of the workers becoming isolated by their labor, they will become isolated by society. They are not educated, they're not equipped enough to make the robots, so they'll become nobody, making only the creators and owners of these machines profit. In Marx and Engels' Manifesto of the Communist Party, they address that the workers' existence is only through their labor. With the idea of their labor disappearing, this could potentially also mean that the workers' existence would be nothing. If the robots were to take over, we can see today that the boring jobs would be on us. Working as an online checker for Amazon, working alongside the automated machine with apps like Uber or Lieferando, being paid lower than minimum wage is the result and a problem with the rise of automation. The capitalists push us even lower with their new technologies and their new jobs. The isolation becomes stronger. Automation supposedly makes us work less, but instead it just makes us work longer and earn less in way worse jobs. Although, can we not blame this on the capitalist society? If one were to reform into a Marxist society, maybe as Marx said, we could all live in a potential utopia? In Marx's work, The Grundrisse, he claims that in a world with automation and without capitalism, it's basically a utopia. Workers have more free time and everyone wins. As Friedrich Engels discussed in his work, Condition of the Working Class, there was no choice but to industrialize. So, with the way technology is expanding today, won't we also have no choice but to see this dangerous future prosper and grow? Although now machine learning, Tesla cars, and self-checkout machines are quite fun and impressive, one day they would or could potentially impact the economy in disastrous ways if not controlled. From both perspectives, we can learn the way in which technology could benefit us but also potentially harm us.